What's up, everybody? It's your boy Baybar to Go Bar. I'm bringing you another video. This is on the Hour of Devastation. These are the three decks that I've run for the last few weeks. I'm down to my final game. I'm at 263 points. The maximum so far would be 266. So I mean, it's not bad to be fair. I mean, that's probably really, really good for some of you guys, but for like, I've had a lot of success with these decks and I've got a really good collection. So the last three Hour of Devastations, I was -1 and then perfect and perfect. So -3 is not happy for me, but I realize it's still pretty strong. And let's hope I can get out of here without losing any more points. We're on the last node, which is Saheeli Ray. For me, it's the 10 or less damage. To be fair, I think probably the best deck is either a Kiora or a N3, and using a whole lot of cycling with new perspectives. And there's a card called Haze of Pollen that you can use that can prevent like direct damage spells, stuff like Inferno Jet and stuff that you like literally can't do anything about unless you have like a card down that prevents it that turn. But there's a lot of troll cards like that. Even stuff like a Cascade into a Samet or a Guy's Revenge can be painful, and a lot of these decks, especially like the Samet decks, are playing that type of thing. So anyway, I'll show you the deck. But let's look at the node first. We're running up against a Kiora here. 83 points. It gives me a signal that it's maybe not the strongest deck in the world, but there's always the possibility of like a Guy's Revenge or something, so you sometimes account for that. And sometimes I sideboard that stuff. We'll see. I don't think I'm going to this time. But the objectives are lose 3 or less creatures, which can be painful against a Kiora, and also take 10 or less damage during a single fight. So here's what I run, and I might change this up, but I just hate cycling, so I have a hard time thinking of a better deck that's not cycling oriented for these objectives. But here's what I'm running. I'm running we'll talk about these guys next, but I'm running Baral, Chief of Compliance. He's got a huge nerf, but he's still an amazing card. He's a good draw engine, but he's also a big mana generator if you can keep him on the board, especially if you get him on early. At the beginning of your turn, each spell in your hand gains 4 mana, and when you cast a spell, draw a card. For 8 mana for a 5/5, he's actually pretty efficient just as a standalone creature, much less those great abilities. I already went over these guys last time, but Heart of Kiran, Fabricate is a 12/12 for 25. He's also a blocker and he flies, so that's a great card in and of itself, but he also fabricates 4 when he hits the board. So even though he's pretty expensive, he gets out an effective 16/16. He's also got that crew ability, so if you're casting creatures, he gets this crew cost or this crew thing filled up, which is nice. Also, just one thing to note real quick, they changed the way that the deck works, it seems. So, for instance, if you cast, Hazard's Undying Fury, and you already have two deploys in your hand, but that's the only other spell you have, it'll still fetch another 4 deploys, and you'll have 6 in your hand. It didn't used to work that way. If you exiled or had something in your hand, it would just draw what was left in your, 60-card deck or whatever. Well, that's not true. It'd be 40-card deck. And so they did change the way this works, but that's good because what you can do is have Heart of Kirans in your hand, cast Saheeli Ray's third ability that buffs them all up, that puts 4 vehicles into the battlefield. This is the only vehicle we run. So each time one of these lands in the battlefield, it will accrue each other one, it'll reduce the mana cost by 4, which is what crew does. Additionally, each Fabricate comes down, and that will be relevant for our Metalwork Colossus. And each time a Fabricate hits the board, it'll cost 1 less mana to cast your Metalwork Colossuses. So this is actually very synergistic. And a lot of times you'll play an entire stack of Heart of Kirans. If you have any Metalwork Colossus in your hand, it'll completely get filled up, and then you'll play it as soon as you take your turn. So amazing combination, and Metalwork Colossus is just a beast of 12/12 blocker for 14. And again, when you use all these Fabricates, this isn't a support heavy deck at all. In fact, I believe we're only running 1 support, so the risk of killing your 2 supports is pretty small. If it does anything, it's almost always a Fabricate token. So Insidious Will, like I said, is the only support we're running. Sometimes I sideboard Jace's Defeat in for here. The difference between, Insidious Will basically is a counter spell for any card that the opponent tries to cast. So it'll just nullify it, the first one. And, the computer's not the most intelligent, so they won't like prioritize cards to get, they'll take something like a Guy's Revenge that they've been working on for 4 turns and just throw it dead into the Insidious Will. So that's a good card. But Jace's Defeat only blocks spells, so if you're worried about direct damage from something like Inferno Jet that'll immediately ruin your 10 life objective. Jace's Defeat might be a better call, but we're not playing red, so I'm going to run Insidious Will. And then we're running 6 spells. This is one of the more surprising cards to me. When I first read it, I was uninspired. The more I play with it, the more I like it. This is the only, it'll kill pretty much anything on the board. One of the few exceptions is like a Heart of Kieran. Or actually, I believe a Angel of Invention will dodge this barely as well. It'll go down to 1 life. But really strong board wipe and only on the opponent's side. So really cool. And it removes that prevent damage. So you can hit stuff like, Guy's Revenge. Or even if you don't, kill, like it's a big stack and you can't kill it, then you can hit it with a kill spell, for instance. Turn to Frog is, really strong spell. It's better in Standard because there are better kill spells like Moon and some other ones in Legacy, but it's pretty strong as far as clearing the board. And a lot of times it's, hit a flyer with that and turn him down, put him on the ground, and then you can, he'll run into your blockers like Metalwork Colossus, for instance. We're using Unlicensed Disintegration just as a pretty efficient kill spell. We're using Gale Strike. This is just early game trying to bounce it out, or if they play like tokens, like if she puts down Octopus Stack, for instance, I can bounce that back into their hand and it actually kills it since there's nothing to go into the hand. I prefer Gale Strike to like Anchor or some of the others because it's 1 mana cheaper than Anchor, and unlike Unsummoned, it's 4 mana, it actually draws you an additional card, which is important. Plus, Saheeli Ray's mana gains are some of the best in the game, which is why I'm running her. Violent Impact, obviously we need support destruction, and cycling it out's a good combo. And then Pull from Tomorrow is a great draw spell, probably one of the best cards in the entire game at this point, where you discard 1 card and draw 5. Just so you guys know, if you don't have any cards in hand, you don't actually have to discard, so it will go off and discard nothing if your hand's empty. So extremely relevant. All right, so the thesis here is we want to try and, the ideal is we get like a Brawl out and then we start working towards like a Metalwork Colossus or a Heart of Kieran while our Brawl is filling up our spells, and so we don't have to waste mana on them. That's ideal. Also, getting Pull from Tomorrow very early would be a great option. Let's see what we have here. All right, so we have a Gale Strike, Insidious Will, and Metalwork Colossus. So I'm tempted to... so this is a challenging thing all the time, but yeah, and this is the node that's most challenging. Am I better off putting down the Insidious Will? Maybe he's just going to cast like a little land or something, not very, scary, and I don't want to waste my will. Maybe I wait and see if he starts building towards something bigger. Also, working towards the Colossus is huge, and it only takes 2 mana combinations of red or blue because her mana gains are amazing. So she's got +4 on blue and red and +1 everywhere else. So that's one of the primary reasons I run her. And you put that with some of her color combinations, and really her ultimate is a huge deal. So all right, let's get this going. I think I'm going to prioritize the Metalwork Colossus and start damaging and start blocking anything on the ground. All right, so now it's smart to probably... It looks like he got 7 mana. And if you look at his card... So it looks like around a 10 mana card, maybe, something like that. So I think I'll go ahead and drop the Insidious Will. And if I get a combo, I'll go ahead and Pull from Tomorrow and drop that Gale Strike. I don't see a mana combo. I just see this mana loyalty combo, which I'm going to take because it's a 7. And get the Insidious Will down. So I'm not sure what that card was. I'm just as happy not knowing, because maybe it was damage, right? All right, so I'm going to do Pull here. And I am going to take the 2-card combo, I believe, which is the green into the white. I think that's probably the best idea. There's a lot of good mana options out there, but I believe that's the best idea. Taking one of his colors that's not one of mine, but still getting equivalent mana is a positive net for me. He'll take this red landfall almost certainly. All right, so he's got Brawl out. That's always a scary card to see. I think so I have a lot of options here, right? So I can just let him... I don't want to let him sit on the board I obviously see this 5 stack, so I'm going to have another turn here. I could frog him and save my Hour of Devastation, and then he would just run into this Colossus. I could bounce him, and then he would probably get prioritized again, and then I could, cast the Hour on both of the creatures. I see, like, it's like if you sometimes you're better off, like, kind of knowing what's coming. So if I know Baral's coming in the next few turns, like, almost certainly he will be, and then it's kind of like you can better plan for what to expect. So I think I'm actually going to do that. And do I want everything in here? Yeah, I want to keep that. So this is going to be inefficient because I'm going to miss a draw. So I'll draw the card here, but now I won't draw one on my next turn. Well, let's see here. I think I want to, let's go ahead and fill that up and then start working towards the, how close am I on my ult, actually? So I'm 4 mana away from getting out a huge stack, which I got it right here. That's definitely what I'm going to do. And remember, the Metalwork Colossus gets fully filled up, so you don't want to prioritize that in this situation. I'll show you what I'm talking about there in a second. So you can see what he did is he moved that card up front, which is probably the Baral. It is. If you can rewind if you want to look at what he did, but rarely does the opponent, Greg, as we call him, the AI, actually rearrange his hand. But if he's planning on casting a spell or something, and then a creature or a more efficient creature comes onto the board, he typically will go ahead and reprioritize, which is why I bounced him. I wanted him wasting his money on something I'm aware of and can easily deal with, rather than something that is a new threat, so to speak. So right now I'm casting my big stack of Heart of Kieran's out there, and he's filling up. You can see if you look at the second creature in my hand, every time he casts one of these servos, it blinks and the bar moves down, and the top one, every time he finishes, another one comes onto the board and finishes his enter the battlefield stuff, it fills up. So that was this thing getting crude was the second one I was talking about. And this one was supports coming on, filling up that guy. So I'm going all in. Let's hope this doesn't backfire in some ugly way. Let's go. I don't see really anything at all. So let's go ahead and, wow, all right then. So Hour of Devastation on him. 12 damage to the opponent. Huge. We have another stack of Heart of Kieran's coming on. We have another stack of Metalwork Colossus coming on. We're swinging for 42. And you can see this deck's pretty strong. Uh-oh. Wow, okay, so that was scary. Swarm Intelligence, when you cast a spell, the next spell in your hand gains full mana, then the support loses 1 shield. Don't exactly know what he's running, but that can easily be an infinite loop. And I'm not interested in seeing what it infinitely loops into. Okay, so anyway, this is GG. I guess there's really just no reason to even cast these. And good. All right, so I don't know where this will rank us. I'm hoping in the top 25, but I doubt it. I think probably in the top 50, 25 to 50, which is still a pretty good return, but nowhere near the 300 jewels you get from actually winning top 5 in the event. But good luck to all of you guys if you decide to make these decks. I think they're pretty solid. They're good for a lot of different stuff, not just this one. There's the other, Saheeli and Gideon. I actually use almost identical decks for the midweek coalition event. Yep, so it looks like I'll be, what rank am I? 34th. What the heck did I do? Alright, so 34th it is. Thank you guys for watching. Let me know if you have any feedback, and feel free to subscribe to the channel. Bye.